Hello vinyl community, it's Bill here again, and I'm jumping on the thread about a number of records that changed my life. I've seen ones that mention 10, I've seen ones that mention 12, and some that mention 20, and sometimes it's albums that changed my life. I'm going to do, well, there'll be a few singles and a tape and a CD, and the rest will be vinyl albums. But yeah, these are 2021 records that changed my life. Changed my life is very dramatic, but yes, these records are significant to me. So let's start with this one. She Loves You by the Beatles. I think it's got my brother's name on there as well. But yeah, we had Can't Buy Me Love, we had She Loves You, and we had a nursery rhymes thing that had a sort of Beatles type thing. So it was Mop Tops. I wish I could find the record, but Mop Tops singing about Hey Diddle Diddle, the Cat and the Fiddle, things like that, yeah. And yeah, London Town, and yeah, Humpty Dumpty. But the cover had certainly got the Beatles influence. That's a bit of an aside there, and I don't have that record to show. But in the house we had this record. I'm not sure, this is me catching up with it again because I found this in a local charity shop, and this one is a gatefold, but it's the Beatles featuring Tony Sheridan. And yeah, this together with those few singles really introduced me to music, and I wanted to be cool and at school. So the Beatles, yeah, I would have been, well, I would have been about 6 in 62, so I really wasn't into music. But yeah, I'm sure we had this in the late 60s, but yeah, I hadn't quite thought about buying my own records yet at that stage. But yeah, used to play all the records we had, including the B-sides, and the singles would be piled high and would drop down onto the radiogram platter, and we'd take it from there. Now, I've showed this one before. This is my very first LP, Deep Purple Fireball, original pressing, and the lyrics, etc. So I guess this is the one that changed my life and made me into a collector of records for over 55 years or something like that. Yeah, that's 71. So yeah, 53 years probably of collecting records. And yeah, 71, yeah, I'm in my teens. So yeah, I think you remember all the records that you bought when you were in your teens. So very important. And then we have, I've showed a lot of these records before, but this is my very first David Bowie album, and then this led on to Aladdin Sane and Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. This record is important, but I think it's more the single, Can't Get Me, I'm Part of the Union. Written actually by Hudson and Ford, and I used to love that part of the Union record when it came on the radio. I think when you look back at it now, you can view it both ways. So you either want to be a Union man, or yeah, it's showing the power of the Union. You won't get me, I'm part of the Union. But the reason this is important is that because I loved that record, I think I got a copy of this from the record library and taped it. But my very first music concert at the music hall in Aberdeen was the Strawbs, and I remember being worried that I'd be able to get the last bus home. So I can't remember if I saw the encore or not. But yeah, great band, and a great concert for my first concert. And then, speaking about concerts, another one that I loved on the radio was Silver Machine by Hawkwind. I loved the space rock vibe and that start of the record with the audio generator doing that sort of whoa, 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 noises as if you're going sideways through time. That it was really exciting for a teenage boy. And I remember at school we had one of my classmates for the physics lessons at secondary school. He used to bargain with the physics teacher that if he behaved for the 55 minutes of the double period lesson, he could have 5 minutes on the audio generator at the end of it. And I think he also tried to use the Wheatstone Bridge as a slide guitar. Kind of got his fingers burnt on that one. And then, yeah, if you've watched my channel, you'll know that I'm a huge Who fan. So this is my very first Who record. I remember taking this to the 6-year common room and playing it. Not sure everybody was into the Who. This collection was a bit of a retrospective, but yeah, has My Generation, Pinball Wizard, etc. But yeah, it didn't have T-Rex and Slade that maybe some of the others in the common room were more interested in. But this led to a lifelong love of the Who. Seen them 3 times. Once at Parkhead Stadium in '76 when Keith Moon was on drums, and then saw them when they were doing the Face Dances tour, and then saw them last year at Edinburgh Castle. What a great day that was. And I'm trotting this one out again. Stardust, David Essex. Love the track listing on this, especially side 3. First ever time I'd heard Jimi Hendrix and Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, but this has got, the first 2 sides have got some great early 60s stuff, including She's Not There by the Zombies and One Fine Day by the Chiffons, Monday Monday by the Mamas and Papas, House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. So yeah, Stardust was, David Essex was playing Jim McLean. I think it followed on from the That'll Be the Day movie, but yeah. And David Essex, I used to get a magazine, I think it was a weekly magazine called The Story of Pop, and David Essex was featured in some of the early editions because he was, the artist at the time the publication was coming out. But yeah, covered everything from Elvis to Bowie and everything in between. So I think this was my introduction to the breadth of music, especially from the 60s, that I should go and explore. That Story of Pop magazine also referenced the foundations of rock and pop, and they had articles on Jerry Lee Lewis and Buddy Holly, as well as Elvis and Chuck Berry and co. But there were a list, and one week they had a list of, I think, about 50 singles and 50 albums that a serious record collector should have in their collection. So getting some of these singles was not easy, and even hearing them was not easy because there was no internet. So this is Jerry Lee Lewis, the session recorded in London with great guest artists. So guest artists include Albert Lee, Alvin Lee, Rory Gallagher, Peter Frampton, B.J. Cole, Chaz Hodges from Chaz and Dave, and Klaus Voormann as well. So, and Delaney Bramlett. So, yeah, Kenny Jones on drums as well. So this is the first time I'd really heard a whole lot of shaking going on, and High School Confidential, Tutti Frutti, Long Tall Sally, Good Golly Miss Molly, they're all on here. And I wasn't really aware that you'd have to find the originals, but I found them eventually on a Sun Records compilation. But I was speaking about trying to be cool when you're at school. I'm not sure if this gave me street cred. I was never ever cool, never ever in a month of Sundays. But yeah, Mott the Hoople, Mott. Yeah, I used to carry this under my arm, take it into school. They had a record player, and yeah, I'd play this whenever I got the opportunity. Really good die cut cover, interesting collage, and Ian Hunter and Overend Watts, and yeah, all the great members of Mott the Hoople. Also listened to John Peel on the radio, 10 till 12, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Used to lie in my bed with a transistor radio to my ear. Remember once John Peel played the whole of Led Zeppelin 4. Fantastic. Yeah, but then I didn't know how to go and get Led Zeppelin 4. But one of the other bands he championed was the Undertones, so loved the Undertones' take on punk rock or new wave, more punk than new wave. This guy here now is championing the rivers of, I don't know if it's just England and Wales or the whole of the UK, but he's a real environmental champion, and you see him with a tweed jacket these days. He's a very clever guy. But yeah, Undertones, and this album was great. Here Comes the Summer, Teenage Kicks, which John Peel adored. I think I mentioned the record library in Aberdeen, not very far from the theatre, and yeah, they used to lend records, and they'd have a diagram with a circle for each side of the record so that they could draw the scratches on, so that if you borrowed a record with scratches, when it came back, they could see that it had already been scratched. So, yeah, but put the record on the turntable of my parents' radiogram, and it had a built-in cassette recorder, did it? Or I had a cassette recorder thing handy and then pressed record. So built up my knowledge of music through that, and all these sort of bootleg cassettes have long gone and have been replaced by, the original vinyl. But one of this one I took a punt on, the Ann Arbor Blues and Jazz Festival. So I thought, oh, I'll give that a try. So this is really my introduction to the blues. I love the track My Last Meal by the Boogie Brothers with Sister Sarah Brown. And it's all about the warden calling me up. You've got one more meal to go. You don't have to go until we get back with it, etc. And he asked for dinosaur eggs over easy, saber-toothed tiger steaks, etc. But this has got Sippy Wallace and Bonnie Raitt on it, as well as Otis Rush, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Dr. John, Bobby Blue Band, Hound Dog Taylor, etc. Fantastic record. Really loved this one, and thankfully I've managed to get a copy of it now that I no longer need to have my music collection on C90s or C120 cassettes. So that was jazz and blues. So that was the first record that really got me into the blues, and that's been a lifelong journey. Love Robert Johnston, love Howlin' Wolf, and lots of blues compilations, Snooks Eaglin, Sleepy John Estes, etc. But my first sortie into jazz, I was in a shop that no longer exists. It was like a department store, and it had a small record and tape department. I think it was mainly tapes. And I thought, oh, I need to get some jazz, and I'll take a punt on this one. So how lucky was I that caught my eye and instead of something else. But Love Supreme, not the easiest to get into, but that was my turn on to jazz. Some more records. Again, early in the collection was this one by the London Symphony Orchestra, with special guests such as Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, Rod Stewart, Steve Winwood, Maggie Bell, etc. But this is the LSO's version of Tommy, and I think I saw on Facebook somebody slagging this off, but really nice booklet, and you can see that car in the wilderness there. I guess that was my introduction into oil painting. So I did this while I was working in Forfar, and went to Brechin Academy to do evening art classes. So this is I think my one and only oil painting, but I did another version of this which I'll look out and show shortly. So that's important because it got me into continuing with my interest in painting and art, even though I had left school. Right, next up, these next few records are very important because my wife is a huge Rolling Stones fan. I had this album before I met my wife. So if I hadn't been into the Rolling Stones and this next band that I'm going to show, would she have been interested in me? I don't know. So this record probably did change my life, as did this one. My wife's a huge AC/DC fan, and indeed we went to the Glasgow Apollo before we were married, stayed with my aunt and uncle. The concert that we saw at the Glasgow Apollo was post the Bon Scott era. Not sure if it was the Back in Black tour, but if it wasn't, it was the one immediately after that. Great showmanship, etc. So armed with a love of the Rolling Stones and AC/DC, and my wife was a huge Who fan as well. Her first single that she got was not, a Beatles tribute band doing nursery rhymes. Her first record was Eddie Cochran, Something Else. Now that's cool. Early in our courting days, early in our relationship, three couples went for a trip down to Edinburgh, and I had to, express my love. So we went into this record shop, and I bought her this, which is Rainbow's Difficult to Cure, which has the great I Surrender track, Richie Blackmore on guitar, yeah, Roger Glover on bass. So there's a link to Deep Purple here as well, but yeah, it doesn't say who's doing the vocals here. I guess that's Richie Blackmore as well. Or it says, Joe Lynn Turner, lead and backup vocals. Right. So, well, that's interesting. You can get all your fan stuff as well. A wristband for £2.50 and a t-shirt for £4. So, yeah. This is one of the records that I bought for my wife on that trip to Edinburgh. I'm sure there was another one, but I can't remember the name of it. And then I guess another important event in my life is the birth of my daughter. And my wife was pregnant with our daughter when we went to see Bryan Adams. It was around the time of the great hit that Everything I Do It For You in the charts for, was it 8 weeks, 10 weeks? Can't remember. Answers on a postcard or in the comments below. We went to see Bryan Adams. We didn't have a very good view, and we were staying near the back because the music was very loud. But Valerie managed to get to stand on a trolley thing, so she got a better view. And I guess that my daughter's first rock music in the womb, and she would have heard Bryan Adams. I don't know if she was kicking much or not, but yeah. So this is an important album that I don't really listen to that often. And then I probably should have shown this one before. Every couple has their tune. I think there was a radio DJ used to play Our Tune. There was all sorts of soppy soundtrack, and then the story of the relationship and the love affair, etc. But people have their song. So although my wife and I are not huge Elton John fans, because we've both got blue eyes, we bought the single by Elton John, Blue Eyes. It's a really nice song, actually. I won't sing it. Two more to show. First one is this. Well, this isn't the initial purchase. I got this album on CD before I got the original pressing of the vinyl. But yeah, what a great band the White Stripes are, and this is the first record I got was a CD of Elephant, and that's led to a collection of all the White Stripes, not their live stuff, all the White Stripes studio albums, all the Jack White studio albums, so all the Raconteurs albums, and I started on the Dead Weather now, and all the fun and games with Lazaretto, and playing from the inside of the label to the outside of the disc. All that fun was started with this record. Yeah, I don't know how to come out with this one, but this is Joe Buzzard's Down in the Basement. Saw this reviewed in the Sunday Times quite a while ago. So this guy's got a huge collection of 78s. Joe Buzzard. The CD's got the platter with a 78 on it. But I guess this highlighted the joy of collecting records. There's some YouTube videos about Joe Buzzard. Go and search them out. He's a guy that really loves his records. He used to go on trips in the Appalachian Mountains and really remote places, asking if they had any shellac. And yeah, he's got original pressings of Robert Johnson and yeah, the early blues guys, the early jazz guys, the early country guys as well. So this is a great collection. There's one track that I don't like. It's called the Schoolhouse Fire by the Dixon Brothers, about children dying in a schoolhouse fire. So I quickly skip this, which I can do since it's on CD. But as you know, as vinyl collectors, one of the joys is that you don't skip tracks. You just listen to the whole of the side. You maybe don't listen to the whole of the album, but you listen to the whole of the side. I guess this is really important to me because music from the early 20s, the 30s, yeah, we think, you know, rock was invented in 1954, 55, but yeah, there was Louis Jordan before that, there was jump blues, there was obviously the original blues guys and jazz and Bessie Smith and all that. So yeah, this reminds me that yeah, there's a lot of music to find out about. I've been rambling on. I really enjoyed rambling on. I hope you enjoyed these records that changed my life. I'll be back for another video in the not too distant future, I hope. I hope you're all doing well out there in interweb land and the vinyl community. Great bunch of people. Take care. Bye just now.